there's this there's the question of, again, how much does the platform really mean, and who's going to hold you to the platform? Nobody is. Which really, how effective, how important does that make it in actuality? So yeah, I think it's a fair question. But yeah, so let's take a look at what we have going on here. So Joe Biden's Unity Task Force was created to bring the progressive wing of the party into the fold after the sting of Bernie Sanders' defeat. And again, it's not like again there is some sort of like any reason for Bernie Sanders, I think, to feel really bad about the campaign that he ran here. Like, he ran a campaign that was, again, it was on the verge of winning. It was going to win, and was really pretty much projected to win in all the polls, unless and the only reason that Biden surged ahead was, of course, a strong showing on South Carolina. That was it. And then the only reason that he caused himself to surge ahead was through a strong showing in South Carolina. Other than that, pretty much the whole rest of the field pretty much crumbled and dropped out. So you can't really be feeling too good about yourself if you're Biden's campaign, and of course you're coming into this current situation in the midst of a global pandemic. You're starting the general election in the midst of a global pandemic, with the incumbent is doing a horrible job of handling. Like, the Biden campaign hasn't really been tested. Like, they spent most of the primary campaign like just falling all over themselves and failing miserably until they planned to win the state that they were always really going to win. And it looks like that from the very, very start, we had an idea of, yes, Biden's going to win South Carolina because of the kind of older black support that he has there, and a large portion of kind of suburban white support that was inspired by Biden. But other than that, they pretty much failed their way through the primaries until Obama made a few phone calls and the entire field dropped out. Then, of course, they probably had the worst incumbent in the worst possible time to go up against that incumbent. So, again, just think about what's really going on here. And of course, it really is very, very irksome to me, as someone who supported Bernie Sanders in the primary, to see Joe Biden, this Joe Biden campaign. So, no, I don't like anybody in the Joe Biden campaign. I don't like Joe Biden. I think he's a bad person, bad politician with an awful, awful record of pretty much just like supporting Republican politics throughout most of his career. But it's really irksome to kind of come up there and see them standing like, oh, we won the greatest campaign, and now we're working to compromise. Like, no, they have proved at no point that they have legitimate popular support, or any kind of positive support or any kind of substantial positive support, I should say, other than just the need to defeat Trump at any and all costs. So anyway, Joe Biden's Unity Task Force created to bring the progressive wing of the party in the fold, but on key policies involving the biggest issue of the day, criminal justice, the left flank got rolled. And again, yeah, there are some things, of course, that Biden, but the thing about Biden is he has all the power here in all this situation because he, again, won the primary. Like, when you win the primary, you get to determine the policy for the party going forward. He has all the power here, and he is, of course, going to pretty much do whatever he wants, and was able to and did do whatever he wanted. Yeah, so amid nationwide protests against police brutality, the criminal justice panel formed by Biden and Sanders got into a heated debate in recent weeks over qualified immunity, a legal doctrine that shields police from being sued for misconduct. Progressives pushed this is not crazy stuff. This is not defund the police. This is just basic stuff that like New York Times readers would support. Like my mom, my dad, they like I kind of use them as a barometer for just kind of standard liberalism. My mother especially, like she's a big fan of like all things New York Times and all that stuff like that. My dad a little bit less, so he's a little bit more to the right, especially in economic issues. But even my dad, who's a little bit more to the right than my mom was like, yeah, qualified immunity is stupid. Like, we should like just put like these set of common sense reforms that were kind of not defunding the police. These kind of very kind of moderate reforms that were being discussed in the wake of George Floyd. Biden campaign cannot even agree to do those. And for all the talk that we've heard from Biden's campaign about trying to be the most progressive president since FDR, and sorry, Bernie, I know you're trying to be nice here. I know you don't want to get blamed. I know you don't want to get like tons of harassment from all the craziest people out there about how you caused another second Trump term by not being insufficiently loyal to the Democratic Party. But this is not good. Like, this is not good in any situation. The fact that they couldn't end here, as we can see, progressive push to end it, but Biden appointees agreed only to assign on to a commitment to rein in the rule. So they can't even, again, they cannot even agree to fully end. They have to agree to whatever this means, rein in qualified immunity. Like, this is it. This is something that has wide support, wide popularity within the Democratic base, and something that they really, all they want to do is, again, it's a part of it, I think, is that Joe Biden is ideologically an incredibly right-wing, pro-police, law enforcement, I would say anti, like progressive, any kind of progressive criminal justice reform. Like he's always been a guy who's been very hard on crime in the kind of the worst sense of the term throughout his entire career. And why should that change? It's not going to change now. And obviously Biden appointees made no effort to see it change. Another flashpoint over marijuana ended similarly, as Sanders' team argued in private meetings they should legalize cannabis, but the idea was rejected. One task force member described disagreements over qualified immunity and pot as huge battles. And again, this is not defunding the police. This is not slightly cutting police budgets. This is literally just ending the rule that says, pretty much says that police officers in large situations are, in most situations, especially when they're on the job, are above the law. Like, that is all they had to do. That's the only sacrifice really that they had to make. But they could not do it. They just couldn't. Which is insane. It is absolutely insane that, like this is, the fact that just absolutely mind-boggling to me. The vice president needs to figure out how he can step up and also catch up, frankly, to where American people are headed in terms of wanting to have a real significant shift in how we think of things like policing and criminalization of marijuana and other drugs, said Scott Roberts, a senior director of criminal justice campaigns for the civil rights organization Color of Change. He seemed to embrace a kind of law and order light. Well, really, it's just a law and order, like, right? It's a law and order major. Like, there's nothing light about this set of policies. It is really kind of, in some ways, even more right-wing than the Obama agenda. And I don't see how this is setting up. And again, this is not even stuff that he has to do. Like, you think it's going to do anything to qualified immunity when he's in office if he can't even agree to, like, even pretend to end it now when he's not even, like, this is the platform committee. This is the platform committee. Like, he doesn't have to do anything in this committee, but he still cannot even have the appearance of people thinking that he may end qualified immunity on police officers and possibly legalize pot, which would be something that, 60% of Americans support? Like, it's absolutely crazy stuff, and very, very disturbing stuff. How many Americans support legal? This is a on-the-spot Google search, but it's 2/3, 69%. Nice. Yeah, I think it should be, 67% now. The share of adults who oppose legalization has fallen from 52% in 2010 to 32% today. An overwhelming majority of U.S. adults, 91%, say that marijuana should be legal for medical and recreational use. 59% say it should be legal just for medical use. Fewer than 1 in 10 prefer to keep marijuana illegal in all circumstances, according to the survey. As in the past, there are wide partisan and generational differences in the views of marijuana legalization. 69% of white people, nice job, white people, nice, think that marijuana should be made legal. And this is not divided, I think, by recreational or medical, but again, it just shows you that they don't care. If they can't even make commitments now, what is the rest of the future going to be like? And if you really think the left is going to have any kind of power, any kind of pull within the Biden administration, you are crazy. Like, the people who are going to have pull, all the people who are going to have all the power are going to be the Lincoln Project. Because, look, they make these really cool ads that convince a lot of people. Like, this is what they're going to say. They're going to say that, look at all these cool ads we made that really convinced a lot of people that Trump is bad and really got a lot of attention and buzz on social media. We won. Not you, Joe Biden. Not anything that you did. We won the election for Joe Biden. That's what these kind of conservative people are going to say. And therefore, they're going to get a lot of information and a lot of influence within the White House. So, that is what I see coming in a future Biden administration. It's nothing very encouraging. But on several other task forces created by Biden, Sanders, progressives celebrated Wednesday that they won concessions, nudging allies and aides to the presumptive Democratic nominee to the left on climate change, immigration, and economic policy. So again, this is something that's it's the platform committee. It's pretty much it's compromising for a kind of abstract policy situation that may or may not even take place. There's no reason for progressives to be freaking out about this in any way, shape, or form. But the challenges suggest that Biden's beliefs on policies such as marijuana are strongly held. Ding, ding, ding. Correct. He supports he's a tough on crime Republican. That's who he is. I'm sorry, a Republican, not really of today, but of 10, 20 years ago maybe. He fit right into the Republican Party of 10, 20 years ago with this kind of stance on these kind of issues, and that's who he ran as, and that's who, in large part, the Democratic Party establishment wanted to put up. That's what they wanted. The Democratic Party base just wanted someone who could really, in the end, who could beat Trump. And there was enough indicators put together by the Democratic Party establishment that convinced enough people that he would be the person who could beat Trump. So he won. It's as simple as that. He's not any kind of Democrat, as we saw. He refuses to budge on an issue where 2/3 of Americans support it. 8% in some surveys. We just read it. 8% support keeping marijuana illegal. At the same time, the Task Force Criminal Justice recommendations suggest that Biden supporters are confident the Sanders wing will back him despite his refusal to budge, given the alternative. Liberals are all the more frustrated by their inability to make more gains on criminal justice in the task force because voters have been moving leftward on the issue, as we know. There will never be a safer time to be bold on these issues and push for change, and Joe Biden is missing the mark, says a Sanders ally who requested anonymity to speak. Frankly, I think people are going to rightly feel as if we didn't meet the moment. I think a lot of people are going to feel let down. Every progressive who read the sentence, reigning qualified immunity, is going to find it laughable. Thank you. That is what I just saw. Reigning qualified immunity, my ass. What a joke. Absolute joke. What Biden is. And you should, it's really sad because, again, they know they have the progressive vote locked in and they support us. And again, the funny thing is, if you look at candidates who are going to possibly support other candidates, Bernie Sanders, 4% of Bernie Sanders supporters say they're going to vote for Trump in new surveys. The highest amount of supporters that say that they're going to vote for Trump, when I say supporters of former Democratic 2020 nominees, are Amy Klobuchar. It's these people. These are the people who are causing so much of the kind of front. When, for example, if you remember, when Nancy Pelosi was being challenged as Speaker, it was not AOC who primaried her. It was people on the far right of the Democratic Party who primaried her. And it's going to be those people who are probably going to be much more of a threat against Trump than Bernie Sanders supporters ever will be. They have fallen in line. As sad as it may be, they have fallen in line to this joke of a candidate that is named Joe Biden. That's all the time we have for today's show, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. And please remember to tune in later tonight for a very special Uncultured as we take a look at Juice WRLD's album, continue our Travis Scott song bracket, and, of course, deliver an all-new mix.